Okay, so I call this the phases of a reaction, okay? All dogs react to stimuli within the environment. Some react stronger, some have a very low threshold for things inside their environment. It's up to you to understand where your dog's threshold is, but that's a whole nother topic of another video. In this one, I want to break down the 4 phases of a reaction to stimuli. Stimuli could be anything. It could be your dog just gets overly excited and wants to be petted and wants to run and jump on somebody. It could obviously be a reaction, what most people would call a reactive dog, towards a person aggressively or towards a dog, which is what we see most commonly. So the phases that I want you to be looking at is broken down into 4 parts. The look. That's pretty obvious if you pay attention to your dog's behavior. You'll see the ears move, or basically anytime the dog sort of looks to the sound, they hear something and they look towards it. There's your look. The loading is when the dog doesn't just do this and then look away, but does this and starts to sort of zone in on it a little bit, okay? When it has captured their attention and they're not looking away, they are beginning to load up, okay? This is what I call the correction phase. You can correct this behavior to make the behavior you desire correct, okay? This is where you can get through to your dog early on. We call this the fuse. The fuse has been lit. Our job is to be observant of our dog's behavior, step on the fuse, put it out before you get to the second half of this. When you get into this, you're in the area you don't want to be. Look, load, now the dog is locked in. You no longer exist, okay? It's like the guy getting ready to get into a bar fight and he's got tunnel vision and nothing's getting through to him. You know, he's getting ready to launch. He's getting ready to start throwing punches. Dogs are ready to do the same thing if we're talking about aggression. If we're not talking about aggression, we can still be talking about a social interaction where the dog loses its mind because it wants to go and be petted by somebody, okay? The lock. If you wait till you get to this point, I can promise you, you're not going to get the response that you want out of your correction. Once the dog gets into the lock phase, the thing that's going to follow is the launch. And that's where the dog is going to try and reinforce what it wants. Make physical contact with somebody or something, okay? It could be towards a ball. It could be towards a rabbit, a squirrel, a cat, a person. It could be towards another dog as aggression, okay? When we get into this phase, if we allow ourselves to, if we're not paying attention, and we get past this phase and we don't respond appropriately with a proper correction to the dog, we are now in the lock and launch phase. You really don't have much choice at this point if you want to keep something from happening but to punish your dog, okay? It's better to correct behavior than it is to try and punish it. And most of you won't punish the dog appropriately. And so this is going to continue. This vicious cycle will continue over and over and over again. And you'll constantly find yourself having to try to punish the dog out of the behavior. And you're going to be ineffective and you just become a nag to the dog. Interrupt the fuse. Put it out so that you don't have the explosion. Okay? You don't want the dog into full adrenaline. Right in here, you still have control of the dog. You lose it when you get into adrenaline, okay? So timing is everything on this. When we are training, notice I say training, okay? Training happens all the time. When you're out with your dog and you have your dog on a leash, you are training whether you believe it or not. You always need to be looking for this stuff. Pay attention to what are the triggers that cause my dog to have a reaction, where it starts to look and load. Predict this stuff as you walk through your neighborhoods. If you're in your training environment and you purposely are putting out planted distractions, you know as you get to a certain threshold, towards that your dog is going to start these things. Make the corrective turn before you get here.